And welcome back to SWBA Today. And in today's episode, we are doing Game 3 and Game 4 recaps. We're going to be talking about the games that took place yesterday and the games that took place so far today. And so let's go ahead and jump into last night's action. And so let's start here with the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. And so the Magic take care of the Celtics 95-93 at home. The Celtics still lead the series, though, 2-1. And so let's start with the Celtics. And so I think that the first key takeaway is that they get Jason Tatum back. He had 36 points. He was 4 of 10 from deep, 10 of 22 from the field, had 9 rebounds, 4 assists, but he had 7 turnovers. And so some great defense there from the Orlando Magic. I think the next key point for the Boston Celtics is they really did not get anything from their bench. Peyton Pritchard, only 3 points. Luke Cornett, only 6 points. Comparatively speaking to the Orlando Magic, they had a much better day off of the bench. You had Jonathan Isaac. He had 2. Cole Anthony had 4. Caleb Houston had 3, and then Anthony Black had 9. And so I think that was key for the Orlando Magic, is that they were able to get something from their bench. And then also, too, their stars played well. You had Banchero, who played well. He had 29 points. And then also, too, Franz Wagner as well had 32. And so I think that was the key for the Orlando Magic. And then they dictated the pace and the way that the game was played. Remember, the Orlando Magic, it's a team that is not going to beat you getting up and down the floor. They're a team that wants to get you into the half-court game. They want to kind of get you into a game where you have to kind of grind it out. And this is the type of game that they like to be in. It favored them. They took care of business. And so you got to give the Orlando Magic a lot of credit for really taking care of home court advantage. But I do expect for the Celtics to come back very strong in this next game. And so next up, we got the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Indiana Pacers. And so, look, this was the Gary Trent Jr. game because he had an outstanding game. He had 37 points. He was plus 20 in the plus-minus box score. He was 9 of 12 from deep, 11 of 16 from the field, and 6 of 7 from the free throw line. He also had 4 steals to go along with that. So Gary Trent Jr. had an amazing game, really. I mean, I think that he was the difference in this game for the Bucks. And then you look at Giannis, monster game. He had 37. He was plus 24 from the plus-minus box score. He had 12 rebounds. He was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Didn't shoot a 3. 14 of 19 from the field. So both of those guys had monster games. If you would have told me that Dame was only going to score 7 points and the Bucks were going to find a way to win this game, I would not believe you. So I got to give them a ton of credit there. Off the bench, AJ Green plays well for the Bucks too. Bobby Portis had 10, so you give them tons of credit there. And I think overall, the start of the game was much better for the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been getting dominated in the first quarter by the Pacers. In this game, they tied it up and they went from there. And so Milwaukee, they did a great job with the start of the game and took care of business. And so then with the Indiana Pacers, I think that you start to look at the players that played well at home for the Pacers. They didn't show up on the road. Miles Turner, only 6 points. You have Andrew Nembhard, only 6 points. That's not going to get it done on the road in the playoffs. Those guys have got to be much better for you. Obi Toppin, impressed with the way that he played off the bench. And then also to Thomas Bryant, I think played solid too, but still you cannot have that where you have 2 starters with 6 points. You got to have much more from that. And then Siakam, 28, and then Tyrese Halliburton, 14, and also had 10 assists. So he had a double-double. So we'll see what happens with the Pacers. I mean, even though they did not start off well and they get beat in this game, they lose by 16. I want to see what is now going to be the response for the Pacers, because this is the first time that the Pacers have really been hit and checked in this series. Let's see, because I don't think that Miles Turner is going to play that badly. And I also don't think that Andrew Nembhard is going to play that poorly either moving forward for the Indiana Pacers. And so next up, let's jump into the next series. And by the way, the Pacers are leading that series 2-1. We got the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. And so the Timberwolves win 116-104. And so, look, I think that there's 2 stats that you can look at that really it tells you everything you need to know about this game. First of all, Timberwolves points in the paint, 56-26. All right. Then next with the fast breaks, 21-11 for the Timberwolves. Those 2 stats tell you everything that you need to know about this basketball game. It tells you that the Timberwolves were able to dominate inside against the Lakers, who, by the way, do not have rim protection. This is what we've all been talking about with the Lakers, so they get dominated there. And then with the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is one of the things that they do well. They like to get up and down the court. The Lakers like to play a little bit of that hero ball where it goes back and forth between Luka and LeBron. And so this pace and then the way that the Minnesota Timberwolves attack the paint really favors them. I still like this being a 7-game series. And then as far as just other notes in this game, LeBron had a spectacular game. He had 38 points, still -10 in the plus minus box score, but he was everything for the Lakers with that 38. He had 10 rebounds. He also had 4 assists, 2 steals. He was 13 of 21 from the field and 5 of 9 from deep, 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Luka was the storyline of the game because I guess Luka was under the weather. Still had 17 points, 8 assists. He had 7 rebounds as well, but he had 5 turnovers too. And so, look, the Lakers have got to find a way to get some more interior play. Then also, too, they need Luka to be healthy in order to get back into this series. And with Anthony Edwards, look, he was spectacular down the stretch of the game. I think that he hit critical three-point shots. And not only did he score at a high clip, he also got 8 rebounds and also 8 assists. So he had 29 points. He had 8 rebounds. He had 8 assists. And I think that that was really the backbreaker for the Lakers is because generally you want to try to get Anthony Edwards to be a playmaker and try to get others to beat you. That's exactly what the Timberwolves did in this game. Julius Randle had 22. You had Jaden McDaniels had another good game, much like game 1. He had 30. And then also, too, Naz Reid with 11 off the bench. And then also, too, Dante DiVincenzo as well played pretty well off the bench with his 10. And so a tough loss for the Lakers as they are now down in this series 2-1. Going back to another point that we made about this series, once again, I mean, you only see really one good quarter that the Lakers play well in this series so far in this game. So throughout this entire series, they've only won like a quarter or two. In this game, the breakdown was Minnesota 32-26 in the first. You had 32-22 the Lakers in the second. But once again, third and fourth quarter, it has belonged to the Timberwolves because they outscored the Lakers there 32-26, and they closed well in the fourth quarter 30-20. And so that is a key stat to note as this series pushes along. The Timberwolves continue to close well, especially at the back half of games. And so next, let's go ahead and jump into the games that took place today. And, man, let's start with the game that I was waiting on for the conclusion before we jumped into this one, and that is the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, this game gave you everything that you wanted as a basketball fan if you got a chance to look at this. Really, the Clippers had no business being in this game. I think the Nuggets were up by as much as 22 points, and the Clippers came storming back to take the lead. And it came down to a sequence where James Harden drives down with, I believe, 8 seconds left is what's left on the clock. And so James Harden drives with 15 seconds, goes up, and then you have Zubac tips it in with 8 seconds left. They come out of a timeout. Interesting play call, but you have Nikola Jokic taking a fadeaway three-point shot, and it airballs. But as it's airing, you see Aaron Gordon, who is not blocked out, comes up and grabs the ball and dunks it in and lets go of the ball before the tenths of the seconds go off. And what was most important about it is, first and foremost, the refs had called it good on the floor, which meant that in order for them to go to the monitor and then change that call, they would have to see something that would overturn that. And you just really, it looked like he definitely got it out of his hand in enough time. But I think even if it would have came down to that, I don't know if there was enough visual evidence to overturn that. And so a spectacular ending to this game. And I must say that it's 2-1 in this series, or no, excuse me, it's 2-2. So it's tied up 2-2. It would have been 3-1 in this series. So this is 4 games that they played. They're getting ready to go back to Denver now. And so now Denver's kind of taking back the home court. And so I think that I really am concerned about the Clippers after watching this game today, because one of the stats that really kind of jumps off the stat sheet to me is there was no Russell Westbrook today, and the Denver Nuggets are 7-0 without him. So shout out to the Nuggets taking care of business there, because I think Russell Westbrook has been spectacular for them. The Nuggets scored 4 points total off the bench, 4 points total off of the bench. When you look at the starting minutes, 43 for Aaron Gordon, 42 for Michael Porter, 43 for Nikola Jokic, 42 for Jamal Murray, 43 for Christian Brown. I mean, that is spectacular that they played that amount of minutes. They did not have a bench, and they find a way to get it done against the Clippers, who have Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Norman Powell, Chris Dunn. You got Zubac playing at a high level. They got Derrick Jones Jr. coming off the bench. They got Ben Simmons. They got Nick Batum. They got Drew Ebanks, who they haven't used. They've used Patty Mills before. Amir Coffey has played well off the bench for them. And then also, too, they have Bogdanovich, who was on the Atlanta Hawks and was on that team that ran into the Eastern Conference Finals. And so for the Clippers to not take care of a team that has zero bench and didn't even have their best bench player, that is concerning, I think, for this series. And so I'm just going to point that out, that if I just don't know how the Clippers can continue on after this series if they are struggling with this team like this. And so you do have to give Nikola Jokic a lot of credit, because once again, he did have a monster game. The 36 points, he had 21 rebounds, which is ridiculous. He also had 8 assists, and he did this on 14 of 25 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Jamal Murray did not play very well at all. 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 5 from deep, and 13 points. He had 7 assists. And look, they're going to need playoff Jamal Murray in order to really make a serious deep run. But I think that this Nuggets team is in trouble. And I also think that the Clippers might be in trouble too as well. So 101-99, the Denver Nuggets win this and knot up the series 2-2. Been an interesting series. And so next up, the Thunder, they take care of the Grizzlies. Look, there is really nothing else to say about this. 117-115. The Thunder just took care of the Grizzlies in every way you can think of, just beating a team. I mean, they came from behind, being down 29. They've been ahead in games like they were today. They started off ahead. They just destroyed the Grizzlies in game 1. Like, it didn't matter however you wanted to play the game. The Thunder were just they're that much better than the Grizzlies. Like, this just was not even a series. And so the Thunder, to no one's surprise, they're the first ones to get the most rest here as they get ready for round 2. But very impressed with what I saw today. I think that this was the best game for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In fact, he had 38 points in 38 minutes, 13 of 24 from the field, 11 of 13 from the free throw line. He also had 6 assists. And by the way, he also had 2 steals. He had a block as well, +2. I mean, this guy's doing everything as far as playing both ends of the floor. Man, this Thunder's team, it's deep. And for the Grizzlies, look, there's a lot of questions, I think, going into the offseason. I know that they didn't have Ja Morant, but the coaching situation, that's going to be questionable. And I just think that as a GM, you have to ask yourself, look, Ja Morant is probably going to get you there. He's probably going to win a series. I just don't know if he's going to be the one to win multiple series. And I don't know if he's going to be the one to get this team out of the West. And so, again, I think that the Grizzlies have a lot of questions to answer this offseason. And so next, looking at the next game that took place, there is the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Miami Heat. And so I think in today's game, you see a Cleveland Cavaliers team that was very true to form. I think this is the Cavaliers that we have really come to know during the season. I think today that they were in complete control as they win this and take a series lead now 3-0. And what I'm impressed with this is that you still didn't see like the best game from Donovan Mitchell. In fact, he only had 13 points in this game and an assist. But the fact that the Cavs were able to dismantle, the Miami Heat like this, like that says a lot about just how good this Cleveland Cavaliers team is. And then when you look at the other side of things, look, Tyler Hero, I think that this is probably his worst game in the series, maybe his worst game in the postseason run, with only 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting. He was negative 26, so they didn't get very much from him. Khalil Ware, I think he's been solid as a rookie. Andrew Wiggins, to me, he had to be a guy that had to play just amazing basketball for the Miami Heat to have a chance, and he really hasn't been that type of player for them. I thought that his championship experience with the Golden State Warriors was going to have to really pay really big dividends for them if they were going to move on, and it just hasn't happened. And then when you look at the bench, impressed with yet again another good performance from DeAndre Hunter. And I think that with DeAndre Hunter, to me, that might have been maybe one of the best pickups in the SWBA at the trade deadline with DeAndre Hunter. Them being aggressive and going out and getting him, because as long as he's healthy, he just presents so many matchup problems for anybody that they face, because he can be a guy that can win on the perimeter. He can get downhill. He's a post-up player. He's going to defend. He plays with a level of physicality. And in today's game, he had 21 points. He was plus 34 from the plus-minus box score, and he was 6 of 6 from the free throw line. So he did a terrific job doing that, getting to the line. But he's also super efficient. He was 6 of 8 from the field. So just no wasted calories for him. And so got to give the Cavs a lot of credit as they now go up 3-0. And I think that this is probably going to be it for the Miami Heat. And so anyway, last game that is taking place, we got not the Orlando, you got the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. And so right now, at the current time of this recording, it's 22-18. The Rockets just finished the first quarter. Looks like that Fred VanVleet had 13 points in this one. And so I think that that's huge, especially for him, because I think that he's really struggled throughout this series. But I think that the key note out of this game, if you have not got a chance to turn it on, is that Jimmy Butler is out, still dealing with that pelvis. I think that I did see that he did warm up for the game, but the Golden State Warriors elected to not go and run him out there. And so this leaves, just now, I think a big spot to fill. And I think that the one that is going to be the X factor for the Golden State Warriors today, it's going to be Jonathan Kuminga. And so we'll see where Jonathan Kuminga is at. I definitely feel like he's a player that wants to get to the bag this offseason. He's heading into restricted free agency. And so you're probably starting to see a lot of the trade rumors and things really circulating around him. And I think that, look, if he wants to get the bag, he's going to have to play well. And this is that moment where I know he's been out of the rotation, but he's been one of the best players, actually the best player for the Golden State Warriors against the Houston Rockets really throughout the season. But you just haven't got a chance to see that. He's going to get more of a chance today. And so we'll see what happens. I like the Golden State Warriors today to go ahead and get a win. I think that they can respond, but we'll see what happens in this. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you feel like that the Houston Rockets are going to take a commanding 2-1 lead in this series? What are your thoughts here about the Grizzlies getting swept? Also, too, what are your thoughts about the Cavaliers having the Miami Heat really on the brink? And then as far as Friday games, were you shocked with what happened with the Boston Celtics and the loss that they took to the Orlando Magic? What are you thinking about the Pacers and the Bucks? Do you still feel confident in the Pacers, or do you think that the Bucks are going to jump back into this series? And lastly, Timberwolves, Lakers. Does anybody believe that the Lakers are going to get out of this series, or do you believe in the Timberwolves as they continue to keep showing us signs that they're really dominating this series, even though that this is just 2-1? And so let me know in the comments. And as we always say, see the game and be the game. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.